Hello and welcome back to more Kino content, the best elections prediction channel in the whole YouTube. This is Lalo back with another excellent video, really blessing you with content here. Anyways, this is going to be the updated July forecast for 2022 Senate. All right. Now, the Senate is very important to capture in 2022. Now, let me regurgitate the talking points from last month as to why we need to take back the Senate. Just kidding. You already know that. We'll talk about new developments, stuff that I've been reading off of Politico every other week, and I will give you relatively stale content, and you will fucking like it. All right. So, first off, the most likely state to go either direction is going to be Ohio. Ohio is definitely, and by definitely I mean like over 80% chance it's going red. All right. Unless something crazy happens, it's going red. And as of right now, J.D. Vance is not looking strong. Josh Mandel isn't looking any stronger than he did last month. Jane Timken does not look any better than she did last month. So far, nothing crazy. Nobody else is running of any stature that I know of. Therefore, I don't care. If you get in my head who's going to be the nominee in Ohio in 2022, I'd probably lean towards Mandel. Why? Because J.D. Vance simply does not have the energy. He's too fat in the fucking face. It's crazy. The submental fat level is over 9,000, and it's going to cuck him bigly. Now, when we move on to the next state that's most likely to go either way, I would probably say that it's actually Wisconsin. What? What the fuck? Whoa, what? Yes. Why? Because think about it this way. Wisconsin is very important. Why is that? Well, Wisconsin is key to what exactly? Well, the thing is about Wisconsin is that unlike other states, the vast majority of the trends are pointing Republican, and any trends that could go to the Democrats are temporary at best. What do I mean? For example, the driftless area full of white people, that cannot really trend left, as, obviously demographics are not working in that way. Therefore, this driftless area cannot help the Democrats. How could the Democrats win Wisconsin? Well, either they move the suburbs incredibly, or they juice out the black turnout, the gay turnout, all that gross stuff. Milwaukee, Lackage's nightclub turnout, if you know what I mean. And, really get it out there. Now, if you know anything, if you follow real American politics, even though he's stupid, you can learn a thing or two. And that thing or two may contain stuff like, okay, well, while, yes, Donald Trump did do worse in the WOW counties, Ron Johnson, assuming he does run and is the nominee in 22 for the Senate, is very easily going to capture back any lost ground from 2020 onto Wisconsin in 22. Also, given the fact that it is going to be a red wave, so to speak, I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. It's going to be default Republican unless the Democrats somehow make up a margin of 3 to 5 points, which they're not likely to do. And because of that fact, I see Wisconsin as easily going red. And going red from anywhere from 2 to 6%, I think is very reasonable to say. The next state which is going to go either way, I would believe, is Pennsylvania. Why is that the case? I think Pennsylvania is going to go red. Why? Well, think about it this way. Pennsylvania has certain trends going in certain directions. By and large, the state is trending right, okay? Even in the most recent presidential election, all right? If you look at it compared to the popular vote. Another thing to keep in mind is that the main part that is shifting left is not the cities, all right? And the cities are dying off. The question is, okay, what is it that's shifting left? And that would be the suburbs. And the thing about the suburbs is that the proportion of the suburbs compared to the entire state is not large enough to really swing the vote in a way that would make it necessarily blue in a red midterm. Therefore, it is pretty likely that it would go red. I'm probably at 65% sure that Pennsylvania will go Republican in 2022. With the nominee likely being Sean Parnell. Now, Sean Parnell may be running, worst case, against Connor Lamb, who is apparently a moderate to most people, and he flipped, I believe, a district in, I think, the 14th district, 17th district, I don't care. Point is that he is one of these young Democrats, relatively speaking, from 2018, who has bipartisan appeal, who is better than the average Democrat electorally speaking. The problem being is that Sean Parnell allegedly lost by 1 or 2%, I believe, in 2020 to Connor Lamb in a competitive district, which goes to show that Sean Parnell is either getting Trump level support or a little bit higher than that, which would lead me to think that the only way that Connor Lamb can win a race in Pennsylvania, given the red wave in 22, would be if he somehow wins the independents by like 5 to 10% or something crazy like that. And I really don't think that's going to happen. And because of that, I do think that assuming nothing crazy happens in 22, no shenanigans, whatever, no fortification, we should be able to win the Senate seat in Pennsylvania and keep it red, right? Toomey is there as a Republican, but we need to keep it and play defense anyway. The next state that I think is most likely to go red, statistically speaking, I think would be Nevada. North Carolina. Why is that? Well, North Carolina in particular is important. Why? Well, Richard Burr is retiring, right? That guy's irrelevant now, or is going to be soon. And the thing is that in North Carolina, we have a Trump-endorsed candidate called Ted Budd, who's a congressman, I believe, who's strongly conservative, apparently. And so because of that, there's going to be no faltering among the Trump base in the vote. Plus, he has the endorsement from Donald Trump, so that should be A-okay. Now, the issue would be, okay, what is trending left in North Carolina? In particular, it would just be the suburbs, really. The rurals in 2020 trended a little bit more to the right. The black vote trended a little bit to the right as well. But the white suburban vote went a little bit to the left. Now, here's the thing. The reason why Trump won, in part, last time was because the suburban trend was compensated by the rural trend in turnout. So, therefore, if he keeps it up and Ted Budd can do the same thing that Trump did last year, then it should be pretty feasible to win North Carolina. And, by default, even if the suburbs trended another 5%, right, which they probably won't in 2022 in North Carolina specifically, it would be hard to really get that turnout that you would need, even if you do win them even if you do get the percentage points of victories and increases year over year. If you're not getting the actual numbers out, then it's completely irrelevant. So, but because of that, I do think that if Ted Budd were the nominee, I think that he could win North Carolina Senate seat by about 5 points. Okay? Now, if we move on to the next most likely state to go Republican, I honestly think it would be, now this is a very hard decision to make. Okay? Now, Nevada, again, this is not like talking about controversies or anything, all right? In 2020, Nevada voted, I think, 2 points to the right of the nation, okay? Whereas Arizona voted about 3.5 or 4 points to the right of the nation, okay? Now, if you look there, you would think, okay, well, that must mean that Arizona is more Republican than Nevada. But the question is more so, well, actually, maybe not, because Arizona has traditionally been more Republican than Nevada, true. But Arizona, as of recently, has been trending left, whereas Nevada, as of recently, has been trending red at the base level. So what could happen is that the suburban trend could still go a little bit more blue in both states, yet Nevada could be trending more red overall because of the Hispanic outreach by Republicans, as well as the fact that the suburbs make up less of a percentage of the Nevada population than does Arizona, I believe. And because of that fact, I do think that Nevada is more susceptible to going more red in the future. But the question is, what about 2022, which is a very near future, in which case I'm not really sure. Now, what I will say is that in 2022, I believe that they're not going to have a strong Democrat as a Senate incumbent. I think it's going to be Jackie Rosen, or no, not even her. It's going to be Catherine Cortez Masto, who in particular isn't very popular. And because of that, I don't see her as anything other than generic Democrat in this case, as far as I remember. And I think the main Republican that is running as of right now is Adam Laxalt. Adam Laxalt, who I think lost by a reasonable amount in 2018 when he ran for Senate, if I'm right. So if that's the case, if you put in a red wave and some trends to the right overall, I do think that he could eke out a win in Nevada by a tilt margin. Okay, and I'd put that chance at 55 to 45, maybe 60 to 40, if I'm being optimistic. The next state I think that we can flip, obviously, would be Arizona. And now Arizona, I believe, would be necessarily important, obviously, to take the Senate. Now, if we do take Nevada, which is not unreasonable, we can already take the Senate as of now. But if we take Arizona, that's going to be sweet. Now, Arizona has been represented by 2 Democratic senators who, nobody cares about. But, frankly, let's talk about it. These are supposed to be moderate Democrats, right? Now, here's the thing about both Kelly as well as Sinema. They both outcompeted the generic Democrat. In 2016, Hillary did worse in Arizona than Sinema did in 2018. There's a myriad of reasons for that, but Kyrsten Sinema had her own appeal that Clinton did not. Another thing with Kelly is that he did outperform Biden by around 2% in 2020, which goes to show that he does have a certain appeal. Now, here's the thing. That certain appeal was, kind of a one-time thing because he's an astronaut and all that. So as time goes on, that's going to dissipate. And because of that, I don't see that as an advantage going forward. But the incumbent advantage also helps him, so that's a net wash from the last election in 2020 for the Senate. So let's keep that the same. Now, insofar as who's going to be the nominee for the Republicans, it's either going to be Mark Brnovich or Blake Masters. As of right now, it looks like Blake Masters is going to do it because he has the funding. He has the know-it-all, not the gravitas. He knows how to do it, I think, and I feel like Brnovich is on the wrong side of Trump at a base level, and because of that, I don't think he will get the endorsement, or at least he won't without major concessions. And because of that fact, I do think that Blake Masters is more likely than not going to be the nominee for Senate in Arizona, which is pretty cool. Now, here's the problem. People say, well, he's a populist, and that's not going to work in Arizona. Well, that is a good point. The question is not... See, people think of, okay, how do we get the 58%, 60% that McCain won in Arizona back in the day? And the thing is that that's not really feasible anymore. The fact is that we can still win Arizona off of the Trump coalition alone, especially in a lower turnout election like a midterm. So if we just get somebody who gets all the Trump support plus maybe a little bit more because he is an orange and all that, then theoretically that would be a good recipe to get a lean victory in Arizona. And if Blake Masters could somehow, and I think very feasibly, get all of the MAGA vote as well as do a little bit better in the suburbs relative to Trump in 2020 because he is not Trump, then I think that he could definitely win Arizona in 2022, even though it's going to be pretty tough to unseat Mark Kelly, who's a relatively good opponent in Arizona. Now, here's the thing. It's very contingent on the votes, okay? Does Kelly vote to abolish the filibuster, like, for real? Does he vote for expansion of healthcare in a way that's unpopular? Will he vote for gun restrictions, etc., which is very unpopular in Arizona? So, in my opinion, Blake has to have the right set of winning conditions to really pull off a victory. And so because of that, I would put the chances of Blake Masters, if he is the nominee, of winning Arizona in 2022 as being 60 to 40, and maybe 55 to 45 if I'm being more realistic. But I am from Arizona, and I am biased, so I think that we are going to win Arizona in 2022, and I think that I honestly do think that Blake Masters could probably win Arizona by anywhere from like 1 to 5. That's the regular range. If I had to gun to my head, I think he'd win it by like 2.5. But okay, the next state that I think would flip Republican would be Georgia, and the incumbent in defense of that seat would be Raphael Warnock. Raphael Warnock won, I think, by 2% in 2021 in January against Kelly Loeffler. And Kelly Loeffler was a bad candidate in a depressed turnout election for both sides, but more so for the Republicans apparently. And so because of that fact, I do feel that because the scenario will be reversed, it'll be really easy to take the seat, number 1 and number 2. So because of that, just off the turnout alone, on the base level, I feel like the Republicans are going to be at a 3 to 5% cushion. So the Republican would have to really fuck up to lose that. And because of that, and even if there is a 2 to 4% trend to the left in 2022, which is reasonable to say, we should still be able to pull off a tilt win, if not a lean win. assuming that Warnock doesn't make a major mistake. If he does a major mistake, then he's definitely going to lose. So because of that fact, I do feel like we're more likely than not going to win Georgia, and I think it's more so like a 60% chance that we do that. But again, the problem with Georgia is that unlike a lot of the other swing states, they have a lot of trends going negatively for Republicans, whereas places like North Carolina has promise, Pennsylvania has promise, Wisconsin has promise, Nevada has promise, okay, and Arizona's kind of a wash if you look at it long term. Jeez, my voice. Okay, the next state is New Hampshire. Now here's the thing. If Chris Sununu, who's the governor right now, who's very popular, if he runs, he will almost definitely win. Now the question is, will he run? So let's say the odds of him running are like 60-40, right? If the odds of him winning, if he does run, is like 80%. So if you look at it that way, what's 80% is 60%, okay? That's more like 45% or 48%, something like that. So the odds of us flipping New Hampshire is like 50-50 actually. But assuming he does run, then it's very likely we do win. So in that case, it should be pretty easy to win. Now, Trump lost New Hampshire in 2016 by less than 1%. In 2020, he lost it by over 5%, if I remember right. Using the official numbers. If that's the case, then Sununu would have to pick up 5 to 10% slack. But because it is a midterm and positive for the Republicans, that Democratic cushion would go down from like 5 to 7 to more like a 2. And then if you look at his appeal, which is 10 to 15% more popular than Trump was in the state, constantly as president, at least, then it's going to be very easy for him to win. So he would have to somehow lose 10% support in order for him to lose. And I don't see that happening. So because of that, I think that this is the most likely scenario, assuming the trajectory goes on forward. And that is that the economy doesn't really get much better. The inflation keeps going up. The debt keeps going up. Foreign policy isn't looking promising. Joe Biden becomes more and more old and all that. So, I mean, this is basically what's going to happen, assuming everything goes to plan. Now, again, this is just my prediction for July. And honestly, it could change. People could die. There could be a hurricane that could change the state politics of, let's say, New Hampshire or Florida, etc., and that could throw a wrench into the system. Now, because of that, I don't know for sure, but this is definitely going to be my prediction for the end of July 2022, 54 to 46. That's going to be the biggest Republican Senate majority ever since, I think, 2004 or 6, something like that. So that's going to be a pretty big win for the Republicans, I suppose. That would be a flip of Nevada, Arizona, Georgia. That's 3. Then you would be looking at New Hampshire. That's 4. So right now we're at 50. So 50 plus 4 is 54. They end up with 46. That would be a cushy majority for Mitch McConnell or somebody else who is majority leader in a couple of years. Anyways, guys, I'm pretty confident this is going to happen if things stay relatively normal. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching for a final time. And Lalo out. That's it. Thank you.